Hi, I'm going to give you a quick video on unpacking and getting your incubator set up for incubating your new eggs. So you get the incubator in a box. When you take it out, just slide the phone out like that. Keep the box, put the box aside. Everything that you've got in here needs to go back in after you have finished incubating. So it'll be in polystyrene. Keep those. And in winter, it's a good idea to keep your polystyrene. It'll help to insulate the incubator. If the temperature in the area where you have it falls below about 20 degrees, then the incubator will have difficulty maintaining the temperature inside the incubator. So after it's set up, you can actually put the polystyrene back on, and that will help to keep the temperature up for the eggs. So because it's winter at the moment, I'm going to leave it in the base. Take the top off the incubator. This has got the fan and the heater in the top. Then take everything out of the inside. There is a little block of polystyrene. You do need that. Don't throw it away or get rid of it. Okay, then in the incubator itself, you've got a tray which is for the egg turner, and then you've got another tray. This is for your when the chicks are ready to hatch, they'll be able to stay on that tray. So when you put that egg turner on, just make sure it turns easily. Then we need to set up the water. So on the side of the incubator, you'll see that there's a little spot here where a hose can go in. You get a hose and just plug that into that point. It does take a little bit of pushing in to make sure it doesn't leak, but it's not too difficult to do. Okay, once that hose is on, then you've got this little block here with, again, another hose connection that will slide onto the other side. Now you don't have to go on too far with this. There's no real much pressure. And it'll make it a lot easier to get off later. So if you put it on like this and it's upside down, just give it a bit of a twist so that you get that sitting nicely on the table. Now, if you're keeping your incubator in the styrofoam, that's what this little block is for, is to put underneath the water dispenser so that it's the correct height. Okay, then get a water bottle and fill it up with water. I should have done this before. I'll just do that now. Elevator music. Actually, that's more like circus music, isn't it? Anyway, once you got water, you can put it into that cap. On the bottle, it looks like it has a screw cap on top, but when you're pushing it into here, you just have to push it in. Now, you may make a little bit of a mess when you first turn it over. Okay, so maybe have a cloth nearby. Elevator music. Circus music, that's right, we're going circus music. So have a cloth. You may make a little bit of a mess. Unfortunately, it's not real easy to do that. Then what you want to do is make sure that you've got water coming into your incubator and you get all of the air out of this water hose. So to do that, just squeeze really gently on the bottle and get that water to flow. You may have to pick it up a little bit initially to get it to flow properly. And then what you want to see is plenty of water going into the bottom of the incubator. And you can check that if you would like. by taking off your screens. So what this does is it creates some moisture in the incubator, and this is good. The eggs need some moisture, especially when they're getting ready to hatch. All right, once you've got the water sorted out, then what we want to do is we want to put it together. So put your trays back in, and your turning tray. When you're putting the lid back on, you need to locate these little tabs on beside the lugs that are on here, so they go over one side. So sometimes you might just have to turn that turner a little bit to get it to actually sit in there properly. If it doesn't go the first time, turn the egg tray a little bit by hand and then put the lid back on. So what we want to do is, before we get eggs in, we need to turn it on. So I'm going to plug it in, and I'll need to go this way a little bit because my lead's not quite this long. So plug it in. When you first plug it in, the egg turner should turn automatically on its own for, I'm not sure how long it is, maybe 10 seconds. And you should get a temperature that comes up on the little display here. So it'll give you the current temperature that is inside the incubator. When it's heating, you'll get the light that's on the left come on. And if there's a problem with the power or the incubator itself, then the light on the right hand side will come on. Okay. Now the temperature is set to 38 degrees. So when the incubator gets to 38 degrees, it'll stop heating. When it gets down to, I think it's about 37.5 degrees, then the heater will come on and it'll start heating up again. So if your temperature is dropping below 37 degrees, it's not staying warm enough, and that's where we can use the polystyrene to help keep some of that warmth in. So a good way to do it is, you can pretty much, if you put the polystyrene on before you plug it in, then plug it in. Anytime you want to do anything with, you can just take the polystyrene off and let it run over the power cord, and then you can work on the incubator like that, or you can lift the lid off with the polystyrene. So either way. So before you put eggs in it, you need to get the incubator up to temperature and make sure that it's going to maintain temperature. So when I'm first starting off with an incubator, I would usually leave it for 24 hours to see how it goes overnight, especially in the winter, to make sure you can actually maintain that temperature. Because as soon as you put the eggs in there and they get up to temperature, they're going to start to develop. If you stop them, then effectively you'll kill the embryo in the egg and it won't develop anymore. So once you've got the eggs in there and they've got up to that temperature, you have to be able to maintain that all the way through until they are hatching. So at least get it up to temperature, leave it for a couple of hours, make sure it's going to maintain that temperature. Now you can adjust the temperature on here if you need to, but I suggest just leave it the way that we've got it set, and it'll work just fine. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set eggs. So once you've got that up to temperature, you've left it and you've found out that it's just settling at that optimal temperature between 37.5 or 37 and 38, ideally 37.5 and 38 degrees is the target that we're looking for. All right, let's load the eggs now. So we'll assume that I got it up to 38 degrees, which I haven't, but I've left it on for a few hours, got it up to 38 degrees. Okay, so again, take your lid off. Now if you've got your polystyrene on, you can leave it on, leave it plugged in, because you don't want to be necessarily unplugging it and plugging it in all the time. You can do that, but you can just lift it up with the polystyrene and leave it still plugged in. Then grab your eggs, and we're just going to lay them sideways on the tray. Now this incubator will do up to 12 chicken eggs, and we're going to do just 6, so we're going to just space them every second space here, and then we can test that by spinning by hand that they're all going to just roll around nicely. Now what the rolling does is the chick, as it starts to develop inside the egg, if it's all on one side, then it won't develop properly. So the turning of the eggs is very, very important. So we'll put the lid back on now, and again we want to make sure that we locate that lid properly. So you may need to just take that polystyrene off for a second to make sure you get that lid pressed down firmly on all sides. Put your polystyrene back on. Now it's fully automatic, so you really don't have to do anything at all until they're nearly ready to hatch. Now it'll take 21 days for them to hatch, so I suggest you make a note of the date that you put them in, then add 18 days. So say if today is the 1st, I'm going to add 18 days to that. So on the 19th of this month, I would be turning off I want it to stop the egg turner. So let's assume that we've got to that stage. It's been 18 days, and we're going to do what we call locking down the incubator. Okay, with some incubators you're able to just turn the egg turner off. To do it on this one, you need to take the tray out. So again, we're going to open up the lid on the incubator, take the lid off, and we just need to take the eggs out. So keep your egg carton, this is handy for this. We're going to just gently put them into the egg carton again, and then you just simply take the egg turner tray out and then place the eggs back on so that they don't roll around too much onto the tray. And then we're going to put the lid back on again. Now they should hatch at about 21 days. So sometimes they may be a day early, sometimes they may be a day or even 2 days late. So leave that then for another couple of days, and hopefully you will start seeing your chickens hatch. Alright, now when they do hatch, I'll send another video of what they look like when they hatch, and but the most important thing is that you don't take them out of the incubator straight away. You can leave them in the incubator for 24 to 48 hours with no problems. So in other words, up to 2 days after they hatch, they don't need food and water straight away. Okay, they have the yolk sac that they've absorbed, and that gives them enough food and water to stay healthy for a couple of days, because you want to make sure that their feathers dry out before you take them out of the incubator. Okay, so if they're still looking a bit wet, leave them in the incubator a little bit longer. Normally about about 24 hours is a good time after they hatch to leave them in the incubator, but not longer than 2 days. All right, now the other thing that we can do is we can candle the eggs. So at about 5 days, you may be able to start seeing some development inside the egg after the egg has been in here for 5 days. So to candle the egg, all you need to do is grab the light on your phone, works quite well, or I use a torch. Any kind of a light source. You want to have the room nice and dark. Turn your light on and then simply put the end of the egg onto your light, and in a dark room you'll be able to see the development of the egg. So I suggest you do that at 5 days. You can probably start seeing some development. Definitely at 10 days. By 10 days, if you can't see anything happening in the egg, then more than likely the egg was not fertile. And that does happen occasionally, where for whatever reason the rooster and the hen just didn't get together properly, and the egg has not become fertile. And then you can continue to candle the eggs periodically. I would suggest though that that if you're going to do it, you need to do it fairly quickly. You need to make sure that you're trying to maintain that temperature for the eggs all the time. So if you are, it's okay to candle them, but don't be doing it 3 times a day. Maybe every couple of 2 to 3 days would be fine. Do it fairly quickly, get the eggs back in there, get your incubator set up again so it can get back to temperature as quickly as possible. Okay, it's a pretty exciting journey to see them hatching. I'll do a video of some hatching so you know what to expect. Now, one more thing is when you first put your water on, it'll probably take nearly that whole bottle. As you can see, as I've been here talking, that bottle is basically emptied. So once it's fully emptied, I'll fill it up again, and then it would fairly well stabilize. You may need to refill it again every few days, but it does depend a little bit on how much you open it as well. All right, I think that's it. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please let us know and we'll answer those for you.